Hey, this is Candia Raquel, and you are at the Sensual Sessions podcast, the place to explore sensing pleasure through your senses and moving in a way that is completely free from inhibition and full of self-expression. If you're new, please get yourself signed up to get these episodes delivered weekly on your inbox at www.centrodepoder.com. This is CENTRODEPODER, Centro de Poder, as in Spanish. And today we have a very special guest that I have dreamt about maybe 2 decades of talking with her, of meeting her. And this is the Susan Klein. She's the creator of the Klein Technique. She's also an acupuncturist and a very interesting person. I am very happy and honored to have you here, Susan. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So I was telling Susan that I first got to know about her work because one of the dancers of the Ballet Nacional de Mexico, like many years ago, 20 years ago, had a class with one of, I don't know, Sasha Balls or another great dancer that took classes with Susan Klein. So she was sharing with me her newly acquired movement secrets. And one of these secrets was to do a roll down, like from standing, you roll down until reaching your toes, but you do this like very slow. Like for me, that it was like an eternal roll down, and then there was like a very specific cue of leaving a little space in the groins. Like I don't know the exact wording, but that cue changed my life forever. Like from that moment on, I stopped pushing myself aggressively in training ballet and Graham technique, and began to pay more attention on how was I aligned in regards to myself and the floor and the world and everything. So I that might been my very first experience of embodiment, where I was like, okay, I am not just an object of performance. I am a human body with skeleton and skin and alignments that mean a lot. So that was my experience with my first experience with a glimpse of what Susan Klein does. So Susan, now I want to know, what was your first experience with the Klein technique? Meaning, what was, maybe you can recall, maybe not, what was like the first moment when you became interested on this unique approach of your work and began developing it?
All right. So when I was 19, I hurt my knee very, very severely. They basically said that everything that could be wrong with the knee was wrong with it. And there was really nothing that they could do, because back at then, there wasn't any laser surgery. They just cut you and tied the ligaments back together, and it was painful and not really very successful. So they actually refused to do it on me. I did go to traditional physical therapy and did, the lifting weights and strengthening my quadriceps. And at some point, it got better first, and then it started to get worse again. So at that point, several things happened. First, I opened an anatomy book, and I realized that it was the hamstrings that support the knee, not the quadriceps.
Wow.
And building the quadriceps up actually was hurting the knee, because it takes your pelvis off your legs. It blocks any movement because the muscle is so big and so strong, and it takes you off the floor. So it does everything wrong. I also had a very odd experience that I had something called a Baker cyst, which is a cyst behind your knee. And I was begging my doctor to take it out. And he basically was refusing to do anything. He said he took all 4 of Hanya Holmes' cartilages out, and it didn't do anything. And he thought dancers were really stupid, and you just keep doing it and keep hurting yourself. But he didn't realize that you could actually change what you're doing and not continue to hurt yourself.
Wow.
But anyway, I begged him to take the Baker cyst out because I wanted something. And I was coming from a very Western mind at that time. And I was wearing a knee brace, and it was getting better, but I, still really couldn't dance. I limped for a very long time, years. And I went for the pre-operation checkup, and he said to me, "Are you still wearing the brace?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, take it off and let's see how you do." And I was so angry because I wanted to just get this thing out that I took the brace off and I walked right to a ballet class. And it's kind of like a miracle happened. I could do everything. I could do the jumps. I could do the combination center. I could do everything.
Wow.
And I remember walking home from that, or walking to the subway and thinking, what happened? This is impossible. And of course it hurt, not right after that, but it's not like I was better. I had a long way to go, but I had this glimpse that something happened. And it's not absolutely black and white like the medical profession is making it. So that's when I started the exercise that you were talking about, the rounding down, as an exercise to find your hamstrings and let go of your quadriceps.
Wow.
And let go of your hip sockets.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's always interesting in teaching is what you say and how it's heard. So you heard it as having a little space in your hip sockets. I say it, and I don't know who was teaching you, and I don't know what they said, but I say it as let go of the muscles around your hip sockets. Now, that will very often create space, but I don't say that because I don't want people to come up. I want them to drop into the socket.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I always find that really fascinating. You can control what you say. I try to be as clear and precise with my words as I can, but I never know how it's heard. So
I am almost crying and getting the goosebumps because I got a knee fractured 1 year and a half, and I am still like dealing with the aftermaths. And one of the things that have changed in the bad leg is that now the hamstrings are crazy, like they are stiff and the weird. And I'm going back to the roll down, and actually, yeah, the cue was transmitted correctly, but I referred to finding the final outcome. That is, I remember, I don't know the exact wording, but the thing was to let go of the gripping in the groin. And then it makes sense. It makes sense to me, like anatomically, that I tend to overuse the superficial hip muscles for walking and everything, instead of using the deep flexor of the psoas that kind of works naturally if you don't get in the way. And something very surprising to me was to find my center. Years later, I understood that what I found in that moment was the psoas and like the like the condensed feeling, but like soft of the center. So yeah, it was not find a space in the groin. Like that's the outcome, because we touched the groins. I don't know if that was an official cue, but the thing was like try not to tense there. And wow, now I know where does that roll down movement come from, and it's very very powerful. And I kind of integrated on my Pilates teaching, and I see how
It's really different.
yeah, it's a different approach. Like now I'm publicly confessing that I kind of stole. Well, I mentioned Klein Technique, but without the proper formality. But yeah, it's an amazing an amazing outcome, the one that you get when you actually work with your body in an anatomical and biomechanical sense. And like our bodies are subjected to the laws of physics, and in that regards there's not much room for interpretation once you get the structure clear. Like the elbow flexes and extends and may have a little rotation, but the rotation happens somewhere else. So you cannot expect your elbow or your knee to behave as a shoulder or as a hip. In the same way, you cannot expect a thoracic vertebra to behave like that, have a lot of rotation range, if you contrast with lumbar vertebra. So
Wait.
correction. Am I going to learn something? Yeah,
the thoracic vertebrae have rotation.
yeah.
The lumbars do not.
Yeah. Then I said it wrong. Like, yeah, thoracic vertebra have a lot of range of rotation, and lumbar vertebra have a lot of range in extension and flexion. So once we understand like these degrees of freedom, we have freedom within the anatomical reality. But if we don't work within that frame of anatomy, we're gonna get injured for sure. And this very fact is often bypassed in many even good movement techniques or dances and stuff. So something that I find very clear and right at the center of the Klein technique is like this clarity and precision in the commands of movement. So then we are not like in finding like the invisible thread and mystery in the joints. Like, no, these joints operate this way, and we want to support that movement. So what?
It's can I build on that a little bit?
Yeah, please.
It's a little bit more complicated than that. So I talk about that there's energy and structure in the body. So we have our container, and we have the movement inside the container, which is the energetics. So it's not all about the structure. It's not all about the anatomy. It's about the movement of the anatomy. It's about how the functionality of the anatomy. So you need to know how things work, and you need to know how to connect them, how to move them within their function. So I think that's a unique part of Klein technique, is that we really deal with both. So it's not just boom, 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 boom. It's more like taffy, and it's more about having a connection between the structural parts. And that's really a critical part of it. that I think makes it unique. Whereas a lot of dance, I think, started that way and then it went into structure. Just do the form, copy me, do what I do, and produce it. I don't demonstrate because I don't want people to copy me. I'll show an exercise, but I don't have them follow me. First of all, not that many people have the same body type I have. People have to find it on their own. I'm helping them. I'm walking alongside of them. I'm with them, but I can't do it for them.
Yes.
And I don't want them to pretend that they're me or any other teacher, that they have to actually find their own essence and find really that which they are, who they are.
Find the essence, find who they are. Well, that's one of the greatest quests in life, to find who you are. And
that's a spiritual path ultimately.
Yeah.
And I think it's the spirit part of this.
Find who you are beyond what has happened to you. Like
exactly. And that goes back to
finding your essence and using anatomy as a container for the energetics of yourself. So then it's not just like something robotical or mechanical, but it is a connection through the structure in you, the anatomy that doesn't change, and then this can be like a vector.
Actually, the structure as you work with it, the structure will change.
As you work with it, it will change.
Yeah, because the bones change along lines of force. So there are cells called osteoblasts and osteoclasts, and the osteoblasts build up along lines of force, and the osteoclasts take bone away that's no longer needed. So we're putting clear, clean, direct line of force through the bones, and the muscles will change and the bones will change.
Wow.
Over time.
Now I am like spontaneously sitting up straight because I remember the image of the trabecules. I don't know if that's the name in English, but in Spanish is trabeculas. That you see an X-ray and the femur has these lines and the femur head has certain lines that are the lines of force. So yes, our bones are like the most solid part of our ever-changing self. And it's fascinating now to understand that even these like deep tissue that holds us up, that are the bones, they also change. And they can change through the way that we are aligned in gravity, and like the osteoblasts and osteoclasts like act in congruency with how we are being as living skeletons in the gravity field. So it's fascinating for me now to have like this awe of first having something solid in me, like yes, there is a self, there is a bony Candia that is talking, but it also changes, though it doesn't changes like from 1 hour to another. It changes a long time. Like bones really do take time to replace their tissue. So then I'm getting like a sensation of of safety and freedom at the same time, that normally those are two contradicting sensations. Like either I am safe and maybe locked up and hidden, or I am super wild and crazy all over the place and free. And no, actually it goes hand in hand. Like your bones, your solidity, that also changes, is what sustains freedom, like what you say, like the structure, like the bones and moving according with your anatomy sustains the function of the movement. And then vice versa, the way that you move can change your function. So this is fascinating. Would you tell us more about the bones?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have something to read to you that I think is perfect right now. So this comes from, I've just blocked out the, let's not give some things. I've just blocked out where it comes from. But anyway, so I'm going to just quote it.
Yes.
So it says, let's magnify a piece of bone. Very soon, orderliness will emerge. Highly ordered bone crystals embedded like jewels in webs of long molecular strings. So the bone inside is actually not solid, because it has to be light enough so we can carry it around. If it was solid, it would just be too heavy.
Yes.
Back to the quote, everything is vibrating. This is in the bone. So all these crystals are actually vibrating. They're alive. The bone's alive. And a lot of people think of the bone as dead, but it's not. It's alive. And it conducts electrical, it has piezoelectrical properties. Suppose we now amplify, suppose we now apply an energetic magnet, a gravitational force, an acoustical sound, a field into the bone, an energetic field into the bone. As soon as we do this, the crystals change in length. The crystals, it shrinks or it stretches spontaneously to the field. So that means as soon as you put a clearer, stronger force field of a connection like the sits bones down through the heels into the floor, immediately the crystalline structure inside the bone changes.
Wow.
Like magic. It's a very magical tissue.
Very magical tissue indeed.
Yeah. So some more magnification will give us an even better look at the crystals. We see the atoms waving back and forth like a field of ripe wheat blown by the wind. They move in unison and in a beautiful rhythm. So the bone is really connected to itself as well as to what it's in contact with. Acoustical energy is blowing through the crystals. Now we focus on the atoms. As soon as they appear as little at first they appear as little shadowy balls vibrating from fixed points in the molecules. As we magnify further, we see less and less. The electron shells have somehow dissolved, and we are looking into a vacuum. As we magnify further, we see something tiny moving about. We focus on what we see, what we suspect is the nucleus of the atoms located in the vast space of the atom. As we zero in and further magnify the vibrating nucleus, it seems to be dissolving. We are looking at something shadowy and pulsating. Some more magnification, the nucleus is almost gone. We are sensing the pulsation of some energy. So we have now structure going almost into pure energy. It seems to be a rapidly pulsating field. But where did the bone go? We thought we were looking at a solid piece of matter.
Solid piece of matter that is vibrating energy.
Yeah. So when you magnify this solid piece of matter, all we see is energy. And as Einstein has said, all there is energy.
All there is energy.
Really is no matter. It's how tightly held it is or how loosely held it is. So that's why dealing with the energetics and the structure at the same time is so important. And if you just go one way or the other, you miss the whole.
Yeah.
And we're trying to look at the whole in connection from the heavens to the earth, and the whole in connections to all the pieces, how they relate to each other.
Yes, not getting derailed in just the form or the formless, but maybe embodying of the formless form that we are, and that even in our deepest aspect of the self that is our bones, it's like also we zoom in and there's vibrant space, there's this energy. And yes, of course, the bones are like a lot of people freak out with my skeleton hanging here. For the ones that are just listening, I have a skeleton hanging here, plastic.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
mine is right over there.
it's right there. And like,
oh, there's the big one.
There's a big one. And
yeah.
It's beautiful how after year passes of students getting familiar with the skeleton, they stop freaking out and seeing it as a Halloween thing, and become mirrored in the skeleton. Like all of my students look at the skeleton, like I give a cue or say something, and it's like seeing a mirror. So yes, like our skeleton, it's made of crystals and minerals and osteoblasts and osteoclasts. It's alive. And even more, inside the bones is the bone marrow with these.
That's right. That's right. Makes blood.
Cells that, like the cells that can become any kind of cells, like the fountain of eternal life, it's actually inside of the bone. So it's like fascinating to see the bones, to see yourself in this way, like okay, it's not that I have something hard inside that are my bones and my knuckles, and I use that to knock at the door and maybe complain about my knee and my knee capsule. But no, like this hard aspect is, it's very close to the most you in you, like your most authentic form. And yeah, like in 3 weeks, well, yeah, in 3 weeks, like eating decently, your body will change. And 3 weeks that you walk and breathe and like have proper sleep, you will change like this. But you're not gonna change your bones visibly as fast, though, as the quote said, just by sitting in your sit bones, your bones start to change. So it's like also relating with time and with life in a more spacious and even in a more generous way. Okay, my bones change, and I change too, but that's another rate of change, but that's a more lasting change, and that's more delivered. And this is a very sincere source, like knowing you as bones too is like, and moving from that and presenting yourself like from this core. to me, it gives me the feeling of sincerity, of authenticity, and these things that are important in art and any kind of human expression.
Yeah, yeah. I think that I talk often about that we're working, that it's the body's mind that is understanding what's happening. It's not our intellectual mind. It's the well, to quote Mabel Todd, it's the thinking body.
Yes.
You can talk about it's the intelligence of the body that I'm teaching to. I'm teaching to the body, not to the mind. So if you just understand it, doesn't mean you can do it. Your body has to understand it to be able to do it.
Yes.
And then further from there, I think it's the level of the spirit of the body, of the mind. And I think that's where art comes from.
The spirit of the body and the mind. Yes.
Mind, yeah.
Just having this discursive thinking is it's beautiful. Like, words are beautiful, but they are taken by the wind. And,
Yeah.
and having the concepts clear doesn't mean, it doesn't even mean knowing them, because like knowledge is somehow demonstrated when you in a way master it and become the knowledge as an action and an expression. And that's when I get like the thinking body from Mabel Todd. Did you know that Marilyn Monroe read that book?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes, I have it somewhere around. That's one of my favorite books, and there's a picture of Marilyn Monroe sitting on the street in the floor with that book on her side, and that was the first time I started suspecting something very serious, like a conspiracy theory about Marilyn Monroe. Like, why did she have that book? And later on,
Wow.
I learned that she studied, I think, with Barbara Clark, and
Okay.
yeah, and then I started suspecting that she had a knowing of the body, like what we see in pictures about her self-expression. It was no accident. I suspect it was 100% deliberate. Like, she knew what she was doing. And yeah, oftentimes Marilyn Monroe is so cliche as every icon, but oftentimes I reflect on herself, on why is the reason that here in Mexico, I live in the middle of nowhere in the mountains in Michoacan, Mexico, and the nearest town, like 20 minutes driving from here, that doesn't have posters of Kim Kardashian or Madonna. The only feminine figures that you see in the town are the Virgin Mary and Marilyn Monroe. And to me, it's very interesting. Like, why her her bodily organization, like the way she conveyed herself in her poses, sticked a long time. And why does Christina Aguilera, Madonna herself, and many more stars had, even Kim Kardashian, have tried to imitate her with the look and the lips and the pose and everything, and they don't have like that effect. And I think is because of this thinking body that she got to understand, like whatever expression, sex symbol, exaggerated, whatever, was very hers. She was not pretending She was.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. Other people, it's imitation, it's all structure, it's copying, it's not embodying.
It's not embodying, which brings me to what you say of know yourself. Like, don't try to copy me. I will show you the movement, but I don't want you to do it like I am doing it. I want you to do it in the way that you do it. That is that that is very, very empowering, because this is talking about the singularity within our commonality, because you teach about anatomy and about the clear directions that we all have to follow if we don't want to have problems in the joints, because anatomy and the gravity fields work this way. But then there's this energetic quality on the how are you gonna do that, which is your unique way. And it's also your own challenge. Like, you can have like the mental and discursive indications, but it's up to you to really get to know that knowledge through and as a body. And now all I want to do is Klein Technique.
Well, I'm teaching on Zoom now, so you can take class.
I can go to your classes, and all the essentialists, we're jumping into your classes too. So, Susan, would you share with us a little taste of this wondrous Klein technique of yours, so we all get like a fleshly, bodily understanding of what we have just talked about?
Well, it's really hard to pick one thing out, and especially if I'm not seeing anybody. I'll see you, but all right. Why don't I do this, it's almost a meditation, but I don't call it a meditation because the class isn't a spiritual teaching, it's a body teaching, but I call it an arrival to arrive to class, and I talk people through the connections. How about if I do that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Arrival.
All right. Do you want to do it, or should I just talk through it?
Yes, guide it, and I follow through, and essentially as well.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and start standing. And your legs are going to be parallel, and with your feet directly underneath your hip sockets. Okay. So you don't want your feet quite that close together, just underneath that. There we go. Good. All right. So start by feeling the connection between the soles of your feet and the floor, and the backs of all 10 toes on the floor. And let the front of your thighs hang down the bone. And then from your sits bones, from each sits bone, draw a line straight down through both legs, through your heels, through the floor, and then deep into the earth. So this is the connection from your sits bones down through your heels into the floor and into the earth. And this is our grounding. This is our stability. This is our connection to our foundation. And it enables us to get everything that the earth freely has to offer. So the more our pelvis is on top of the legs in verticality, which this connection is doing, this is our stability. The more we can connect into the floor, the more we can access the nurturing of the earth, the feeding of the earth, the stability of the earth, the constancy of the earth, the foundation of the earth, the support of the earth. Then bring your attention to your coccyx. And from the tip of your coccyx, we're going to use a triangular connection. And this time, the tip of the coccyx is at the tip of the triangle. And the two legs of the triangle are going down to the front of your heels, which is basically in the center of your arch. And the bottom of the triangle is between those 2 points and parallel to the floor. So now this connection is bringing your pelvis more on top of your legs in the sagittal plane, in the wheel plane, in the front back plane. And it's also bringing your pelvis more on top of your legs. This connection has to do with mobility because the initiation of front back movement starts at your tailbone. So these two lower connections are dealing with the paradox of stability and mobility, and they're both working equally. Even though you're not moving, you're ready to move. Like, body's enlivened, the body is connected to the floor, and it's ready to go. Good. So then from your tailbone, follow the curves of your spine up to the base of your skull and continue it out through the top of your head and continue that out through the ceiling and deep into the sky. So what I'd like you to do is take a minute or so to breathe into these connections on the level of the bone. And you want to feel wide across your shoulders and wide across your pelvis. So whenever you're ready, bring yourself back to your space and back to the present, to this very moment in time. And shake your legs out, take a little walk, and see how that feels.
It feels amazing. I feel super tall.
All right, good, good. So that's how I start class, and then from there we roll down. Wow. And that is so much more complicated that it's difficult to just do it quickly.
Yeah. But I really feel that I have just arrived here now. Like, I was focused for the interview, but now I am all here, like my whole self here, and now I am understanding this gift of being bones along the rest that we are, because bones really connect us with who we are beyond what has happened to us. And like this very practice that we have just done has already been super important for me, because I completely lost the support of my whole left leg with my knee fracture, with my meniscus fracture 18 months ago. And I was very fearful. And all August, I was in bed because I had a flaring thoracic outlet syndrome that was very difficult to diagnose. And one friend told me, this is just the aftermath of your body trying to cope and make up with the lack of balance of losing the support of one of your legs. And then I got it. Like, my overall sensation was as if I was one car with one flat tire moving forward, like losing this. And I have done my weight shifting and everything that I know and I've been told, and the therapy and etc. But now, like in the moment that you said like melt the front of the legs, the thighs, I got what you meant when you had this physiotherapy of making bulky quads. And I felt like the lines of well, I can just talk and talk and talk and describe my sensations, but I feel that I arrived home in me, in my bones. Thank you, Susan.
Good. That's great. That's great. Send me your email and I'll put you on the mailing list, and I'll send you I teach Monday and Wednesdays at 3:30 New York time.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Such an honor. And I'm gonna fully heal my knee with this. Thank you.
You will. You will.
So much.
Good. Susan. My pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Yes. This has been a unique interview, and it's so important for the whole project of the Essential Sessions to have like this unique perspective of your work, of placing the concreteness of the self, the bones, the body, front and center, like starting with the anatomy, the biomechanics, and the energetics of it as one. And from there on, like I could even write poems now of how happy do I feel. But these artful experiences and delights and divine stuff are one of the aftermaths of being in alignment with the body and with the earth and life itself. So tell us, how can the sensualists here watching, listening to us, can know about your work and can know more about what you're doing?
Well, my website is kleintechnique.com, and there's a lot of information on it. And I'm working on a book. I've just started, really. I've been working on it for 30 years, but I haven't written anything. But I've actually started writing over the summer, and to take class. Yes. So I teach twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. And anybody that wants to contact me, it's Susan@kleintechnique.com, and I can send them the Zoom information.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Susan. Really honored to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope we stay in touch.
Yes, I hope
you come to class.
No, that's for sure. I'm going to be Mondays and Wednesdays forever. Your classes. Very happy.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
And also thank you, Sensualist, for being here, sharing with us So head on over to KleinTechnique.com, and also feel free to reach Susan directly at susan@KleinTechnique.com, right? Correct. Also, and if you're new, go grab the free guide to awaken sensuality at www.centrodepoder.com. Until next time, remember to take the time to sense your fire so you can share your flame.